The taps have run dry. In Coronationville, Westbury, Newlands, and Soweto, families queue for hours. At night, they carry buckets in the dark. Children miss school because their uniforms cannot be washed. The elderly climb stairwells with heavy jars, desperate for a drop of water. This is Johannesburg in crisis, and at the center of it all, a stunning revelation. Mayor Dada Morero has admitted that 4 billion rand, money meant to fix and maintain Johannesburg Water, was diverted to cover other municipal expenses. The fallout has been immediate. Outrage in the streets, anger in Parliament, and growing calls for the mayor's resignation. This isn't just a budgeting error. It's a window into how a city of millions, once the economic hub of Africa, has reached the brink of collapse. On the 18th of September, Mayor Morero faced residents in Coronationville, but he never got the chance to explain. His words were drowned out by furious chants. "We want water!" People told stories of hardship, weeks without supply, elderly neighbors left helpless, families relying on tankers, paying inflated prices for bottled water, or going without. The very next day, 19th September, the mayor was grilled before Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation. Opposition MP Stephen Moore cut straight to the point. Why was 4 billion rand taken from Johannesburg Water at this critical time when communities are going without water for weeks? What other expenses were deemed more important than residents' basic right to water? The numbers told their own story. Johannesburg Water's latest annual report showed that by June 2024, it couldn't pay 1.1 billion rand to creditors. Contractors had stopped work. Urgent upgrades were stalled, and yet 4 billion rand had been reallocated elsewhere. Mayor Morero explained that Johannesburg runs under what he called a sweeping arrangement. All revenues from water, electricity, and waste go into a central account, and the city council reallocates funds from there. His words offered little comfort. Committee Chair Leon Basson was furious. That means contractors will stand last in the row. You've signed contracts saying you'll pay them in 30 days. But instead you only pay them when you have cash. That is unacceptable. It's not rocket science. Ring-fence the money. But Morero gave no dates, no repayment plan, only vague assurances that reforms would be introduced at a pace and scale the city can afford. Parliament gave him 14 days to produce a concrete plan. And yet, 4 billion rand had been reallocated elsewhere. Mayor Morero explained that Johannesburg runs under what he called a sweeping arrangement. All revenues from water, electricity, and waste go into a central account, and the city council reallocates funds from there. His words offered little comfort. Committee Chair Leon Basson was furious. That means contractors will stand last in the row. You've signed contracts saying you'll pay them in 30 days, but instead you only pay them when you have cash. That is unacceptable. It's not rocket science. Ring-fence the money, but Morero gave no dates, no repayment plan, only vague assurances that reforms would be introduced at a pace and scale the city can afford. Parliament gave him 14 days to produce a concrete plan. To understand the fury, we must look at the state of Johannesburg Water, because the diversion of 4 billion rand did not happen in a vacuum. It happened against a backdrop of technical decay, financial fragility, and systemic neglect. Johannesburg Water is facing an infrastructure renewal backlog of 26.6 to 27 billion rand. Nearly 20% of its water infrastructure has less than 10 years of useful life left. Its assets, valued at 127 billion rand, should be renewed at a rate of 2% per year. Yet due to budget shortfalls, renewal is happening at less than 0.9% annually, less than half of what is needed. The result? An aging backbone that is literally crumbling beneath the city. Almost 44.8% of all water supply disappears as non-revenue water. That's nearly half of Johannesburg's water gone before it can even be billed. 23.7% is lost through leaks, bursts, and pipe failures. Real losses. 9.2% vanishes through illegal connections, meter tampering, and billing inefficiencies. Apparent losses. This isn't just inefficiency, it's collapse in slow motion. Johannesburg Water has drafted a 10-year turnaround strategy estimated at 32.5 billion rand, 10.6 billion rand for infrastructure upgrades, 9.6 billion rand for treatment plans, 4 billion rand for demand management, like leak reduction. But much of this is already derailed. Major projects, from sewer pipe replacements to the construction of the Brixton Reservoir, have stalled. Contractors have walked away unpaid. In effect, the system is brittle. An aging infrastructure, nearly half the water wasted, and critical works frozen in time. Against that backdrop, diverting billions away from water doesn't just delay maintenance, it accelerates collapse. The financials reveal the depth of the crisis. Johannesburg Water's annual report shows cash flow restrictions left the utility unable to pay 1.1 billion rand to creditors by June 2024. Contractors, who are supposed to be paid within 30 days, were left stranded. Many down tools, further stalling repairs. This is part of a vicious cycle. Infrastructure fails, service worsens, revenue drops, fewer funds remain, the backlog grows. The city openly admits its priorities. Staff salaries and medical aid first, then bulk suppliers like Eskom and Rand Water. Contractors, the ones tasked with fixing broken pipes and completing reservoirs, come last, if they're paid at all. As Parliament's Committee on Water and Sanitation noted, this practice is unlawful and dangerous. Contracts were signed with 30-day payment terms. The city, however, chooses to pay them only when there is cash. This means the very lifeblood of the water system, the contractors, the engineers, the builders, are being sacrificed in the name of short-term budget juggling. The picture becomes even darker when considering revenue. Johannesburg buys bulk water from Rand Water, but loses nearly half before it can be billed. This means the city is paying for water it cannot sell, draining finances even further. On top of that, billing inefficiencies, widespread non-payment by residents and businesses, illegal connections, and faulty meters all eat away at revenue. This is not a sudden disaster. It is the culmination of years of deferred repairs, ignored expansions, tolerated leaks, and tolerated theft. The 4 billion rand diversion simply poured fuel on a fire that was already burning. Johannesburg Water's finances are trapped in a vicious cycle. The city prioritizes staff salaries, medical aid, and payments to bulk suppliers like Eskom and Rand Water. Contractors come last, if there is money left. By mid-2024, the utility could not pay more than 1.1 billion rand owed to suppliers. Many walked away. That means no new pipelines, no replacements, no repairs. Every unpaid contractor is another broken pipe left leaking, another reservoir unfinished, another community without water. It's easy to reduce this crisis to numbers and budgets, but behind every unpaid bill, every leaking pipe, every stalled project, there is human suffering. Entire neighborhoods, Westbury, Coronationville, Newlands, Soweto, Alexandra, face repeated weeks without water. Residents haul heavy buckets late at night. Families skip washing. Children miss school. Hospitals jeopardize hygiene. The sick go untreated. In Westbury, protests turned volatile. Police reportedly fired rubber bullets and stun grenades, even at journalists covering the unrest. Local media captured chilling images: taps running dry, streets flooded by untreated leaks, bottled water sold at inflated rates, naked citizens confronting officials in anger and desperation. But the human cost was matched by shocking revelations on the political stage. Even after admitting the diversion, Mayor Morero confessed he did not know exactly where the 4 billion rand went. Times Live reported that he could not account for the money during the very same parliamentary hearing. Critics were stunned. Funds meant for emergency repairs had been siphoned off at the height of crisis, not in a time of surplus. The city admitted it cannot afford to ring-fence water funds, yet continues a sweeping arrangement that allows lifeline budgets to be moved at will. Almost half the city's water disappearing before billing is not just inefficiency, it is structural failure. Civil society voices like the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance call this diversion the canary in the mine shaft, a warning signal of just how cash-strapped the city really is, and how fragile every promise of repair has become. This blend of human suffering and political denial has deepened outrage and intensified demands for accountability. Johannesburg's water crisis didn't start this year. In December 2024, Rand Water shut down supplies for 86 hours to conduct urgent maintenance. More than half the city went dry. In early 2025, Mayor Morero apologized, promising full restoration within a week. That promise was never kept. For years, warnings about deferred maintenance, leaking infrastructure, and financial mismanagement piled up. The 4 billion Rand diversion is not an isolated blunder. It is the latest chapter in a decade of neglect and broken trust. Civil society wants accountability. The Johannesburg Crisis Alliance is demanding resignations. Parliament wants National Treasury and the Auditor General to investigate. Opposition parties accuse the mayor of siphoning funds from citizens in need, and the clock is ticking. Morero has just 14 days to submit a concrete water plan. If he fails, national intervention looms, and his political future may not survive. Water is life. It is the most basic of human rights. Yet in Johannesburg, a city that once symbolized modern infrastructure, millions now live as if abandoned, carrying buckets through the night, praying for rain, waiting for a government that has failed them again and again. The scandal of the 4 billion Rand diversion is more than financial mismanagement. It is the story of how a city lost its most precious resource. And unless real accountability follows, Johannesburg's taps may run dry for good.